in different sectors. When it comes to bonds, that's where diversification differs. A professional advisor is going to tell you that you have to have bonds to keep you safe. And the reason they say that is because they're copying high-level investors who have a high percentage of their money in bonds. But that is causation and correlation. They happen to have a lot of money in bonds, but they didn't do it in order to diversify. They did it for what I'm going to show you in an example here in the future.
Gotcha.
A good way to diversify and make things super easy is to do ETFs. You may have heard of mutual funds. Mutual funds are super similar to an ETF. The difference is that ETFs are traded on the exchange. They're in the stock market. A mutual fund, you have to go get it. You have to go, I mean, you could probably do it online, but you have to contact a company that sells mutual funds and you have to buy their mutual fund. They're designed to be active, not by you, but by the fund manager. So what a mutual fund is basically doing, and this was pre-ETFs, a mutual fund is a guy who's really good at investing, who invests the money for the brokerage or the account that you go to. So a lot of people say, I have money, I have a retirement, I'm going to go down to this office, I'd like to invest my money. Well, what stock do you want to invest it in? I don't know anything about stocks. What do I do? Here's what you do. John over here runs our fund. He is going to build the portfolio that's safe, and he's got experience. He's done this for 30 years. He went to college for it, and he's going to run your money. We're going to charge you a little bit of a fee to manage your money, and this is how it works. And you have a mutual fund, and our fund typically makes XYZ return each year. And so you say, okay, and you join the mutual fund. Now there's so much access to technology and computers, these funds went virtual. They're like, hey, we can just replicate a fund and put it sold online. Another big difference is that when you buy an ETF, that is one thing. It is the government has determined that to be a stock. It's not, it's a basket of stocks, but when it comes to taxes, it's one stock. And the value of that stock goes up based on the value of the companies within the basket. A mutual fund is a bunch of stocks. Let's say it's 100. Every time they sell one of those stocks and they buy another stock to fill its place because it's an actively managed fund, and maybe this one's not performing very well, or this one is new and they want to test it out, you are paying capital gains taxes every time they do that. Whereas when you sell an ETF, you only pay it once after you've held the stock. Now, there's an advantage to holding a stock for longer than a year. If you are in a mutual fund, you lose that advantage because often the stocks are not held for long periods of time. So you have a fund that is constantly buying and selling shares, and you're paying the full short-term capital gains taxes on this instead of long-term. So an ETF, you can buy it same day, you can sell it. It's on the market, it's value, you can watch. A mutual fund, you have to go and tell somebody you want to get it. And then if you want to close it out, you have to contact them and close it out, and they have to sell all of your shares and give them to you. So it's a little bit more complex of a process. More mutual funds have higher fees. An ETF ranges from 0 to like 0.6, like 0.5%. Mutual funds generally range from about 1% to about 6%. So it's much more expensive to run a mutual fund. It's much cheaper to do ETFs. Any questions about those? Okay. Right here, really quick, I'm going to show you two things, and I can get them for you later as well. You can Google things like this. This is index funds of the S&P 500. So the most commonly traded index is the S&P 500. So that's 500 of the biggest companies. You can buy the index SPY. You can buy the ETF IVV, VOO. VOO is very common, by the way. RSP. So SPY and VOO are super popular. IVV is BlackRock. I'm not a fan. And so all of these do the same thing. These are all ETFs that copy the S&P 500. These are mutual funds, SWPPX. So this is offered by Schwab. So you'd have to go to Schwab or be a member of Schwab and say, I want to buy this. But you couldn't buy it on a regular brokerage like Robinhood. Fidelity has their FXAIX. So Fidelity has their own private one. It's not public, but it doesn't really matter. And I guess they may offer cheaper fees for their members. I don't really know. If you go to Fidelity, they're going to try to put you in FXAIX when you could have gone and bought VOO on your own, and it would be cheaper.